first one's going to be public comments on agenda items. Okay, so does anybody have any questions about any of the agenda items?
I have a public comment about the agenda items.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Michael Federici, 532 Patterson Avenue. I'm here as a taxpayer and the fire chief of the DuBois Volunteer Fire Department. My statement is a little lengthy, so bear with me. Mayor and Council, I'd like to take the opportunity to address an agenda item for the meeting this evening. Agenda item number 12, budget subsection fire department. The reason why I, the fire chief of the DuBois Volunteer Fire Department, bring this to your attention is that as the department head, I was not made aware that the fire department was to be any kind of topic of discussion at this evening's council meeting. Over the past several months, the public has heard nothing less than this council will be the most transparent council. Unfortunately, placing the fire department on the agenda without a discussion with the department head is contrary to the promise of transparency. From January 1st to today, I have not been contacted by any of the council members, which in my opinion is unfortunate because as the fire chief, I am one of the most accessible people in the city of DuBois. I'm on call 24/7 as a volunteer to meet the needs of the citizens of our great city. As such, I would be very happy to discuss anything with you all openly and transparently. I would like to think elected officials who make an oath to serve would allow the opportunity to make informed decisions, especially considering that not speaking with the department head does not allow for such an informed decision. I think before any decision is made regarding the funding of the fire department, anyone with a preconceived idea or agenda would simply ask and be willing to learn how the fire department functions. I know personally, if I was not informed, I certainly would want to be informed before making any decisions. I think it's imperative that a good working relationship with elected officials be forged out of one of mutual respect and trust. With that said, remember that myself and the men and women of the fire department volunteer their time to protect the life and property of the citizens of our city, some who have supported your election. They as volunteers drop everything to respond to a call of need and aid our community. They do this without matter. The fire department is not a political extension of anyone. We proudly serve the citizens of DuBois today as we have for 136 years. We do this at our leisure, not because we must, but because we want to help our fellow citizens. We only ask for the opportunity to allow you as elected officials who carry no agenda other than the good of the city of DuBois, be duly informed prior to making any hasty decision that would be construed as malice towards the fire department of the city of DuBois. And also attached to the paper that we gave you is my year-end fire report. If you would take a look at that when you feel necessary. Thank you.
Thank you for your statement. Appreciate your service.
Debbie Mecklen, DuBois. The January 2nd organizational meeting, Thomas Breath of Dillon, McCandless, King, Holder, and Graham out of Butler was appointed interim city solicitor at a rate of $3,200 a month while the city is in the process of advertising for a new solicitor. If you could please refresh our memories, what was the monthly fee being paid to our former city solicitor?
Same one.
Same one?
Yes.
Okay, and that was her hourly rate also?
We did not have an hourly rate. I don't know what our hourly rate was for like the injunction and things. I couldn't tell you that off the top of my head.
The only reason I asked, since we are advertising for the solicitor position, I just wanted to be able to compare apples to apples. Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else? Oh, go ahead.
Linda London DuBois. In reference to number 8, the legal fees. What establishments, organizations, or individuals are the city of DuBois responsible to providing legal services to?
Can you say that again, please?
Okay.
Yep.
In reference to item number 8, the legal fees, what establishments, organizations, or individuals are the city of DuBois responsible to affording and providing legal services to?
Colin, do you want to answer that?
Sure, if you'd like me to.
Sure. Yes, please.
The city is obligated to provide legal services to the employees of the city and to the elected officials under certain circumstances. So if an employee or an elected official gets sued in their capacity as an employee or elected official, the city is to provide them legal services. There are situations where employees may be asked to participate in legal proceedings in their capacity as employees or elected officials. The city can provide legal services to those individuals in those capacities.
So basically what I'm hearing is employees and elected officials.
Correct.
Okay.
And I think it's clear, I think it's important to understand that the city provides those legal services through city lawyers, whether it's a solicitor or somebody that's been retained by the city to provide those services.
Tom, we've had a couple, actually there were volunteer firemen that the city has in the past paid for some legal fees, which I find appropriate, but I was just wondering your opinion.
I haven't looked at that, as the chief has indicated tonight, the volunteer fire men and women are not employees of the city. It's a separate entity, although the volunteer fire department in the city of DuBois is under the authority of city council. I haven't specifically looked at that. I think under certain circumstances that may be appropriate. I need to understand those circumstances.
Does that satisfy you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else on the agenda items? Okay. Let's move on to approval of the minutes. Public hearing meetings?
The motion to approve the public hearing meeting minutes, December 26, 2023.
Second.
Properly moved and second. All in, any question on the motion? All in favor? Roll call.
Augenbaum.
Yes.
I'm used to
Jackson.
redevelopment.
Yes.
Gelfen.
Yes.
Dietz.
Yes.
Reesinger.
Yes. City council meetings? Minutes?
Make a motion, we accept city council meeting minutes, December 26, 2023.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Question on the motion? Roll call?
Augenbaum.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Gelfen.
Yes.
Dietz.
Yes.
Reesinger.
Yes. Registry of invoices. Auto draft, $23,037.37.
I make a motion, we pay the auto draft $23,037.37.
Second that motion.
Properly moved and seconded. Question on the motion?
I have a question. Does the controller review these invoices prior to them being submitted to us for payment? Or when do you review them?
I review them when I have them to pay.
So after we vote on them and then,
I will be paying the invoices tomorrow.
so what,
A note on the bills too. Starting, what do we get? They're on. Every one of the bills that we're paying today are on the website now. So you will be able to see every bill that the city pays from now on. It'll be right there for you. If you have any questions, info@duboispa.gov. Ask any question you'd like.
So when you go on, look at the agenda's there, the minutes are there, and the registry of invoices is there.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Augenbaum.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Gelfen.
yes.
Dietz.
Yes.
Reesinger.
Yes. General fund.
I make a motion, we pay the general fund $245,151.62.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Question on the motion? Roll call.
Augenbaum.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Gelfen.
Yes.
Dietz.
Yes.
Reesinger.
Yes. And there are no Penvest bills tonight. Request for proposal for solicitor.
As directed at the meeting last week, there is a RFP for the solicitor in your packet for review, a draft of it. This would be for the year 2024. Proposals are tentatively due for the April 1st, 2024 date Elliot mentioned. Moving forward, the plan would be to name the solicitor at the reorganizational meeting each year then. So if you guys could look that over, give me your comments, thoughts on that, and we'll revise that out and get it advertised.
Discussion of financial institutions.
Yeah, I believe, this was discussed a little bit as well last week, talking about authorizing the solicitor to get some information from our current accounts. So if we could authorize him to solicit those local institutions to get any information he can on the current accounts. We had also talked about an RFP. We have about 24 different accounts. We had talked about soliciting bids for new savings account services,
Checking account.
checking account services, all financial accounts. And then I think we were gonna ask the solicitor to also look into municipal bonds.
Yeah, to refinance our $20 million debt.
Correct. Yep.
Questions on anybody? Okay.
If you wanna authorize Tom to do that work.
You need a motion for
Yep.
that?
I make a motion for Tom Breath, the solicitor, to put out an RFP for financial institutions for the year 2024.
And we need to request the existing documents that we have with the accounts.
Oh, and request the existing documents at S&T,
Any local,
any
Yep.
local banks.
Can I ask a question? I'm just kind of curious why the solicitor has to ask for information from the bank. Are they not giving it over to us? I mean, it's our information.
that is correct.
So the bank is not providing the information on our accounts.
That is correct.
That's
So
correct.
is a subpoena needed? Is that what we're saying? So S&T Bank is requiring a subpoena, is what you're telling
May be
us?
required.
So can we do two motions, do one to,
Do we need to?
just for now?
If you want to.
Sure.
And it is just S&T or is it for other banks as well?
We will request information from every bank.
We have several different banks.
So we'll make first the motion for an RFP for financial institutions.
Second that motion?
Properly moved in second. Questions on the motion? Roll call.
Augenbaum.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Gelfen.
Yes.
Dietz.
Yes.
Reesinger.
Yes.
And then I make a second motion that Tom draft a letter to S&T Bank requesting all of our banking information from them.
I would restrict that to S&T.
Oh, any bank,
All of our current financial institutions.
yes.
Yes.
Second. Properly moved in second. Question on the motion? Roll call.
Augenbaum.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Gelfen.
Yes.
Dietz.
Yes.
Reesinger.
Yes. Legal fees.
I believe this was a discussion that, I don't know who, Jen maybe asked for it, to have a discussion of legal fees being paid moving forward. Set a policy for that.
Who we are paying and how we are paying.
Correct.
Yeah, it's, Tom was saying, we should probably have a city attorney that if you need to go to the Attorney General or you're gonna be questioned by the FBI, that you use this attorney that the city hires at the city rate. If you want somebody else, you will need to pay for that yourself. The only one we would pay for is the city hired attorney, and we would probably try to get somebody down in Pittsburgh so they don't have to travel back and forth. They can go across the street and work that way. So this is open for discussion for any other councilman also, and Tom.
And they would be hired to basically protect the city, not the individual, correct?
Correct. My understanding is that previously, council has approved reimbursing employees for their own personal lawyers. those lawyers would not have an attorney-client relationship with the city. They would not work for the city, those lawyers. It's fine. The city can pay for private lawyers. There's not an ethical issue there. I haven't been asked to provide an opinion with respect to whether city council has the authority to pay for or reimburse private attorneys. My recommendation is that the city should have the attorney-client relationship, and city lawyers, and I'm not saying that our firm should be the firm, so we're clear, but the city should be paying their own lawyers. We've hired throughout the years, I've seen various, as part of this transition, I've seen various legal opinions that have been provided to city council from outside law firms. The city can hire lawyers to represent the city council and the city's employees. Those lawyers, their fiduciary obligation as lawyers is owed to the city and city council. So in their relationship, the attorney-client relationship is between the city's lawyers and the city, not a third party that happens to be an employee. So that's how I recommend you structure it. It's well within your authority under the law to hire additional attorneys. And I think it's consistent, well, it may not be consistent with previous motions, but I think it's consistent with the approach that the city council is taking to provide legal representation to these employees that are called to testify or to participate in other legal proceedings in their capacity as city employees. I just think the relationship needs to be an attorney-client relationship between the city and the attorney.
A nice compromise.
How was that attorney, Tom, how was that attorney identified and retained?
Retainer letter between the city, city council, and the attorney. And the scope of the work is as assigned to represent any city employees that need representation in third-party legal proceedings. I think most of these situations have been generated through the grand jury and obligations to testify in front of the grand jury. My twist, and the way I think is the appropriate way to do it, is that you shouldn't be trying to reimburse private lawyers of your employees because you don't have a contract with them. The contract, the engagement letters between the employee and the lawyer. It should be an attorney-client relationship between the city and the city's lawyer, whoever you pick. Those lawyers represent the employees as you request them to represent them in whatever the proceeding.
I personally would like that opened up to the fire department, because there's a possibility that there's the treasurers of the fire department, you know, they do no fault of their own or anything like that, and I think the city should support them also, if that's.
I haven't been asked, and I'm not saying that that is inappropriate. I'm not in a position without looking at it to say it's appropriate.
Okay.
But I'm happy to give you a quick answer on that.
Okay.
Is that something we should put RFP out for as well?
For solicitor service or legal services,
For additional attorneys for the city?
yeah, you can modify the RFP that's out there because we had talked about the planning commission and other entities as to whether you wanted to retain separate legal counsel or represent those entities. So you can modify the RFP for your solicitor services, also include a request for a proposal with respect to what I would consider to be special counsel to the city.
Wouldn't it be advantageous to have somebody right from Pittsburgh to do that?
My understanding is the grand jury's seated at Pittsburgh. I would certainly think you'd want to take a look at that, but somebody might structure it and say, I'm not going to bill you for travel time. So it's certainly something that you would entertain, I think, law firms out of Pittsburgh. But I wouldn't foreclose retaining a local lawyer if the cost. I think some of the retainer letters that I've seen are $350 an hour. Obviously, if you're billing $350 an hour, it makes sense to have a Pittsburgh law firm to do that.
Could you give us a few names?
I can certainly give you I can get you a list from the bar association.
Yeah, thanks.
Certainly.
We should have a motion, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
I make a motion, we, amend the request, the RFP for solicitor to be also legal and planning or special counsel.
That's probably gonna be two different attorneys. Would we need two RFPs?
I think to save the advertising costs, I think you can do them as alternate proposals. So you're seeking,
Two different things.
legal services for, I think quite honestly, you may be seeking legal services for a number of things. For a full-time solicitor, potentially solicitor for the planning, commission. I'm not sure if you have a solicitor for your zoning, board that needs to be a separate one, but also special counsel. And then a firm might be interested in one or all of those, and they could submit alternative proposals for each.
Good luck.
I'm happy to work with Chris. Try to make that much
Is that your
clearer.
motion?
That's my motion.
Get it?
I'll second that motion.
Properly moved and second. Questions on the motion? Anybody have an opinion? Okay, roll
Augenbaum.
call.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Gelfen.
Yes.
Dietz.
Yes.
Reesinger.
Yes. Policy and procedures for indicted and charged employees. It's a shame we have to have that on our agenda.
I'll speak to it a little bit. We have a lot of work to do with policies and procedures that we should have had in place for a long time, and we don't. But due to the emergent nature of the ongoing investigations and that we have the secrecy of the grand jury, we don't know what's coming down the pike at any time. So I think it's important to get how our response is going to be to any employee that might get charged or have to go in front of the grand jury, or how we're going to handle those situations to get that in a policy so everyone's treated the same regardless of what happens. So I recommend that we make a motion for Chris to put together a policy on how to handle any future employees.
So you're saying this is, I heard you mentioned grand jury, so obviously you're not talking anything misdemeanor crimes or anything like that.
I mean, it can apply to any employee charged with a crime, how we're gonna handle the situation.
Okay, so
Or we can break it up by category. It's up, or we can debate it however you want it.
yeah, and would that have to be, is there anything on your end you'd have to do for it?
Well, the first thing I would recommend is that you reach out to the League of Municipalities. That is a tremendous resource. It used to be the League of Cities, it's now the League of Municipalities. And ask them if they have draft policies and procedures with respect to discipline consequences, other consequences if an employee is criminally charged. That would be, or reach out to your local municipalities. I'm solicitor for a third class city. I can certainly check with their personnel policy and see if they have something, so you're not reinventing the wheel. And then honestly, take what you like from each sample you have and try to morph it into something that fits DuBois.
Thank you. Got everything to do that?
Yep.
Okay. Request authorization to order equipment.
You got a first from Elliot, that's it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, second.
Properly moved and second. Any question on motion? Roll call.
Augenbaum.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Gelfen.
Yes.
Dietz.
Yes.
Reesinger.
Yes. Request authorization to order equipment.
Yeah, we have some equipment that was in the budget that was approved that we need to get ordered so we can get in the queue there. The first is the travel vac for $26,740. This is equipment that we use to clean out the valves. They're 4 feet below ground. Sometimes when we get there, they're full of dirt, anti-skid salt or whatever. Need the instrument to get down there to clean them out so that we can operate the valves. That would be through PA CoStars 016E22-221. And that is Bain Enterprises.
CoStars is a system through the state
cooperative purchasing program through the state. It's one of several they have. We have another one here coming up, where they do the mass solicitation for you through all the procurement. It saves communities the costs if they can do it once instead of every community doing it on their own.
It saves money on the equipment.
I just have a quick question. I noticed on the backhoe, that had a warranty on it. I didn't see on the other two. I would presume there are. I just didn't see it listed under the,
There are, I'll get that for you.
okay, thank you.
We got these done separately, then.
Yeah, we need to do these separately, yes.
Do we currently have a travel bag?
We do have an older
It's
travel
out
bag.
of, it's out of its useful life.
Correct.
Make a motion, we, approve the request for the travel back in the amount of $26,740.
Second?
Properly moved in second. Questions on the motion? Roll call.
Augenbaum.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Gelfen.
Yes.
Dietz.
Yes.
Reesinger.
Yes. Water Department Draco.
Yeah, this is another piece of replacement equipment. It's a compact excavator in the amount of $39,611.44 from Bobcat of Kane. It's through the Pennsylvania Construction Equipment Contract number 4400028101. And this is just routine excavation for our water department.
I make a motion, we approve the water department track hoe, $39,611.44.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any questions on the motion? Roll call.
Augenbaum.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Gelfen.
Yes.
Dietz.
Yes.
Reesinger.
Yes.
The last one is a backhoe loader for our utility work as well, $141,800. Purchased from Cleveland Brothers, PA State Contract 4400019950.
Are we replacing one or is this an addition?
It's a replacement as well.
What's happening to the old one?
We typically sell those on Municipal. Joe will put them out for bid for us.
Okay.
We'll ask you before we do that. We'll ask for permission to advertise them.
Oh, okay.
We'll get the other new equipment, it'll come in later in the year, it's not coming in right now, it takes a while to get in. When we get that, we'll see the condition of the one that's going out in retirement. We think we can get a good return.
And that amount will go back into the general fund.
Back into the general fund, correct.
What's the lifespan on a piece of equipment like that?
If Scott is in here,
Scott's not here.
I'm not sure how old the other ones are.
Scott.
Oh, Scott here?
How old's the loader?
Backhoe we're getting rid of, I think, is 26 years old.
So they have a life of 20, 25 years or so? Depends.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make a motion, we approve the request for the backhoe loader in the amount of $141,800.
Second.
That,
Properly moved in second. Any questions on the motion? Roll call.
Augenbaum.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Gelfen.
Yes.
Dietz.
yes.
Reesinger.
Yes. 2022 audit.
Yeah, the draft 2022 audit was completed as of December 29, 2023. A copy of the draft audit is in your packet for review. Please let me know if you have any questions after reviewing it. If you have any questions, please give me a call. I would like to get this back to the auditors so they can submit their formal report by the end of the week. Just quick from the summary of the auditor's results. One material weakness related to the audit of the primary government financial statement is reported, and that is they report every year about us not having the in-house personnel to do the audit. That's why they have
And
doing the audit
I
themselves.
called Pat Keene about this, about the other ones, because it was in several of them. I can't remember the exact number, but he does like 22 municipalities. It's in every one.
Yep.
He does many nonprofits. It's in every one. The only one that it isn't in is a big company, a for-profit company that has their own CPA. So it's a very common
note.
Common
Just wanna
note
make-
on an
That's
audit.
the only note we had.
It's not really saying anything bad about the city.
Correct. No instances of non-compliance material to the primary government financial statements of the city of DuBois, Pennsylvania were disclosed during the audit. No significant deficiencies, material weakness in internal control over major federal awards programs are reported in the independent auditor's report on compliance for each major program and on internal control over compliance required by the uniform guidance. The auditor's report on compliance for the major federal award programs for the city of DuBois, Pennsylvania expresses an unmodified opinion on all major federal programs. No audit findings that are required to be reported in accordance with 2 CFR section 200-516 are reported in the schedule. So we had a very favorable audit this year, if you could look through there. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll get back to the auditors. We can submit our reports and they can issue the motion. I don't need any.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay. On to number 12, budget, fire department.
I'll pass that on to you, Mayor.
Okay, really the only thing, there's a budget item in the fire department that hasn't changed. I think it's pretty close to last year's, isn't it, Chris?
Correct. Yep.
The only difference is we would like to pull the fire department under the same accounting features that any other department in the city has. That would be, they have a budget, they will submit
Requisition.
a requisition, okay, with a couple of bids, you know, if it's a certain items, a couple of bids, then you'll get a purchase order, you'll purchase it, the invoice will come to the city will pay the invoice. That's nothing to
There
do
are
with
some things that don't require the bids, just regular bills. or
right,
whatever.
regular
Yeah.
specials, healthcare.
We go back on that
Fire department?
for a question.
Yes.
Yeah, so whenever they submit that for a PO, they give a PO, but does the fire department pay it then? Or is the city paying it? I'm just.
City will pay it.
Is it done?
We've been paying it for all the other departments.
Okay, I just want to make sure
Yeah.
that who's paying for
Yep.
what.
Any other questions on that? Mike, you have any questions on that?
Lots.
What's that?
Lots of questions,
Okay.
lots of
Okay.
questions. When you do something for so many years a certain way and that's gonna change all of a sudden, you obviously have lots of questions. Which would be why it would be a good idea to sit down and discuss it. But obviously what I'm seeing from at least 3 of you is that that's not what you're interested in. And that's disheartening because there should be an open and frank discussion about that. The controls that the fire department has in place are far greater than what the city has in place. Trust me, there's a board of 25 people that approve every expense. So you really don't understand how the fire department functions. You can do whatever you'd like to do. That's your position as an elected official. I just think that the way you're going about it is completely wrong. That's my opinion. You could have done it a better way. It's easy to make a phone call and say, hey, we'd like to talk to the fire department. We'd like to understand how the fire department operates. We'd like to understand how the fire department pays bills. Not taking that opportunity, shame on you guys. I hope you do better.
I'm willing to sit down with you and talk about it and table this for till the next meeting, if you're willing to do that.
I'm happy to do it.
I mean,
Like I said, I'm the most accessible person in DuBois.
But just doing things like we have done for the last 20 years hasn't worked out so well most recently, so that's why we're trying to make some changes to have some greater control at the city council level.
I understand what you're saying, but there's not been any fire department issues over that time frame. The issues that you guys are referring to has nothing to do with the fire department, and I wish somebody would have said that a long time ago. None of what has happened has anything to do with the fire department. And nobody has explained that to the public, and I think that's also
I mean, I don't think anybody's alleged that, and I don't think any of us have ever said that.
I've read posts that have the fire department involved in it, and I've read articles that refer to it as fire department money, and that's not true. The fire department is very stringent with their funds.
So if you can feel free to reach out to me.
Sure.
And try to set up a meeting within the next 2 weeks, and we can,
Yep.
happy to discuss and move forward from there.
It's my understanding that it used to be done that way. The city paid the bills, wrote the checks.
Which is perfectly fine, and I don't have a problem with doing it that way. Actually, it'll probably alleviate a lot of stress off of us for taking care of it. But I can foresee some issues, and there would probably have to be certain carve-outs out of it that don't need to get approved, or something that we could just take care of.
Oh, there's certain
And
things you're gonna be able to buy.
with not having any kind of guidelines for the fire department to operate under as far as funding, and just changing it like there has to be a discussion. There has to be a discussion.
Okay.
And like I said, I hope moving forward that you guys consider that and due diligence, sorry,
Absolutely.
before you make a decision.
And some of the stuff is on the agenda to have a discussion about it. We didn't put it on here with, at least I didn't, to have the decision already, the decision hasn't already been made. It's on here to have discussion and let people come and comment, and then we can consider it and make an informed decision that way.
Well, I mean,
It also, we
as
can
a
reach out
fire
ahead.
chief, imagine my surprise whenever somebody tells me, not any of you, that, hey, the fire department's on the city council agenda for Monday night. I'm like, oh, that's nice. I'm the fire chief and I didn't know anything about it.
Completely understood, and, you know, we're gonna make mistakes along the way, and this is my first meeting, and Jen's and Pat's as mayor, so we're gonna learn, it's gonna be a learning experience for everybody, so we're trying to do the best we can so far. So like I said, I'm glad to table it and talk with you and see where you wanna go from there. And I mean, all of us can meet with you, whoever wants to come.
I just have a question, not regarding the finances, but just the fire department, how it's structured, who, I guess, at one point in time, I know over the years, they reported, I thought, to the city manager, and then it was like council and mayor, and it's gone like back and forth, and I didn't know what our code says, and are we doing what the code says, or I'm just curious what that
Code says mayor.
Mayor and council.
Mayor and council. With Chris's position and with the fire department, I would prefer that Chris handle everything with the fire department. It's gonna be so much easier for everybody. I mean, he's the one that would authorize any large purchase, you know. I don't know if we need a motion or whatever, but I'd like to have Chris do that.
I think that's a good
I
idea.
think that's part of
Mr.
our
Mayor, we need-
discussions.
Yeah, and we can discuss that with you
We
guys.
need to talk about, I think I need some direction on, on how it occurs with your other departments. So depending upon your conversation with the chief and wherever you guys land on the process, then I think we need to take that and make sure that you're doing it consistent with your procurement process and procedures.
Right, with each department.
With each of your departments, but I think you have some discussions that need to occur before we get to that.
Okay.
Okay, thank
All right.
you.
The elected officials' healthcare.
Yeah, we are going to ask, Tom for a legal opinion on, healthcare for, elected officials.
We discussed that the other day in executive session.
Mhm.
I do have a legal opinion that I will share with council this evening in executive session.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Manager's bond. Chris?
Yeah, Tom had asked me the other day if I was bonded. I am not bonded, but I think, it was his recommendation that council authorized me to get a bond on myself as well, since I am on the signature cards at all the banks.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Just so we could, my recommendation is anyone that has signatory authority on any city bank accounts, that everyone should be bonded, including council. Council has signatory authority.
The signatories are Tom Nowak, Lisa Lebrasky Becker, David Volpe, and myself. And we have a few employees that are bonded, that receive cash on a daily basis.
And they're all bonded
They're
except
all
you?
bonded.
Except
Yep.
you.
I'm the only one that was not
And
bonded.
this arose because it was my understanding when Chris sent me the bond, we had a follow-up discussion, and I didn't see one for the prior city manager. I don't believe the prior city manager was ever bonded, which is an issue.
So, like Pat will sign and I sign for CDBG grants, things like that. Do we need to be bonded for signing?
No,
for
it's
grants?
really the ability to access city funds through your financial accounts.
You guys are signing for the applications.
Mr. Brad, I do believe that we are bonded through the county. That changed. We were bonded at one point by a separate entity, Chris?
I think yours is a different bonding than the rest of us.
Am I through the county?
I believe so, yes.
I haven't seen it. I just wanted to see.
That's fine, I'm not sure if I've seen that paperwork, so if we're,
I don't know if
I
I.
sent all the bonding down to Tom, so
okay,
you
you
have
gotta
it.
do that.
So I just wanted to let you know that that did change. I know for myself. And it changed because we were paying so much for my bonding. And then the county has a program for treasurers, tax collectors. So,
Okay,
just wanted to let you know.
thank you.
So Jim gave the first on that.
I'll second.
Properly moved and second.
Jen already seconded.
Oh, sorry.
Jen did, okay.
Properly moved and second twice. Roll call.
Augenbaum.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Gelfen.
Yes.
Dietz.
Yes.
Reesinger.
Yes. Robinson Street parking.
Yeah, prior to, we had some complaints, concerns about parking on Robinson during 7 to 11 posted days, which is Monday right now. So prior to March of 2018, it was Tuesdays. We had a request from some people in the neighborhood to move it to Monday, so it coincided with garbage day. I think that all worked out well when the people were able to get off the street onto the church parking lot. They can no longer use the church parking lot. The adjacent street, Howard, is also Monday, so they have nowhere to go. So I think the options are to move it back to Tuesday, which won't coincide with garbage, but it is what it is. Or we would remove parking restrictions from that street.
Well, that parking lot across from St. Mike's, who's that, you see that?
St. Mike's.
Huh?
St. Mike's.
But that's not blocked off.
No, but they have had us up there to help remove cars because they're not allowed to park there unless they're participating.
So across the street from the church, that parking lot is St. Mike's is blocked.
So they can't park in either one of those now.
I don't think we want to rely on private parking lots any which way.
Like I said, I didn't know who owned it, that's why I thought.
It's not a public lot.
Aware if that was an option.
So I would recommend moving it back to Tuesday and see if that solves the issue. If not, then we'll have to look at.
So
maybe
people on
not.
Robinson Street can park on
Howard.
Howard and then vice versa.
Correct.
Is that just from Long Avenue over to,
Howard.
Howard, yeah,
Yep.
just that one.
Just the one block there. Yep.
We've done similar things, other areas where people having trouble parking there, that they don't.
We have moved some, in this instance, 5 years ago, we did it here. It just didn't work out, so I'm recommending we go back to the way it was.
And no parking on Tuesday.
There'd be no parking on Tuesday from 7 to 11.
And Howard Street would remain Monday,
Monday, 7 to
7 to
11.
11.
Is there enough room for those people to park on?
I don't know how many cars are.
Okay.
I mean, we can, I hate to go to the extreme where we just eliminate restricted parking and not have opportunity to plow empty streets or to sweep empty streets, so I would recommend we try Tuesday again.
I know one of the people had contacted me and said if it wasn't even till 11, that like they leave for work at, 9, it was that it's that late. Can we shorten the hour, the time frame a little bit? That it's not 7 to 11?
Like 9 to 11, you mean?
Well, if it's, yeah. I'm just asking.
We can do whatever we want.
Do you have anything on
But
that?
does that make
We can do whatever
sense?
you want.
But does that make sense?
Yeah.
The only thing I would think on that you would ask is, and Scott could probably say more about it than me, is actually his crews out there. Is
That's
that
when our
not
crew
gonna bring
starts.
them somewhere else to come back?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, 7 to 11
Trying to
it
be
is.
efficient and get
Yep.
everybody at the same time.
No, that's,
I know some of the big cities have, you park on the left side on the odd day and the right side on the even day.
We
It's
haven't
that-
jumped into that arena yet.
I know
For a
that's,
specific street that would get,
I
may get tense.
I'm not sure what's the best way to do it.
Not change that, parking signs, because you have to change the signs.
Yeah, we'd have to change the signs from to an ordinance. We did it by ordinance last time.
We did it by ordinance, I thought, so I think
Yeah.
it's done by ordinance again.
Yep, we did it by ordinance last time.
Yeah, and you could have somebody that's not easy for them to park 2 blocks away and walk back to their house. It makes it difficult.
Yep.
Could I comment? I know that, there's been some chatter on Facebook that I've seen that's been brought to my attention about chalky tires, all of that stuff along. We do not do that. I haven't done it. None of our guys have done it since I've been here. So I don't even know where it came from. And I think it spun off of this Robinson Street, Robinson conversation. So I don't know where that's coming from. We do not do that. You know, one circuit in the United States says it's illegal to do that. One says it's not, hasn't been in the Supreme Court yet. But since I've been here, I have not had anybody or knowledge of it happening. So somebody's tires are getting chalked, it's not the police department. So.
So if you guys wanna think about it, or if you wanna, or if there's change anything at this point?
You wanna change it to Tuesday for now? See how it works and what kind of, if you're from Robinson Street or Howard Street, let us know.
Is anybody from
info@DuBoisPA.com.
Robinson Street, have you had that conversation with them about, would that work, changing it to Tuesday? I mean, they still gotta get off the street. So does it really,
I have not talked to anybody else.
does it really change anything, whether it's Monday or Tuesday? Because you still have to get off the street. But you're just changing it from Howard, so it's,
We're giving them an alternate location.
Yeah, they don't
because they'll
have,
be able to go down to Howard and
Vice versa.
vice versa, so.
yeah, right now they don't have anywhere else to go.
Yep.
These established by ordinance, did I understand?
I think it is established by ordinance, yes.
We really need to,
Yeah.
to amend an ordinance with an amendment to.
Yes.
Yep.
That's right.
Does anyone wanna try?
So I make a motion, we amend the ordinance for that area, so Howard is no parking on Monday and Robinson is no parking on Tuesday?
Correct.
Second.
Properly moved in second.
You're gonna advertise that you intend to amend the ordinance?
You have to advertise, otherwise.
Yeah, you just can't amend your ordinance.
Yeah, we'll draft that out.
Okay, I just wanna make sure I understood the motion, thank you.
Roll call.
Augenbaum,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Gelfen,
Yes.
Dietz,
Yes.
Reesinger.
Yes. Consolidation. Chris?
Consolidation. We had a good meeting on Friday with DCED and Sean Arbaugh from Sandy Township and two of the supervisors from Sandy Township. We would like to recommend reconvening the 10-person committee. For a refresh of the 10-person committee is the 5 council members and the 5 supervisors. We'd like them to get back together to see if we can proceed with consolidation. It'd be the first meeting, see if things go well. If they do, we can move forward. Consolidation is scheduled for January 2026. Our schedule does have milestones here in 2024. So we're recommending a meeting here at 6 p.m. in council chambers on January 24th.
Well, what about the conjunction with the file? The township, the pause that.
That'll have to be discussed at that meeting.
When I've had
So you
contact.
can still have that meeting even though.
Certainly, I've spoken to the Sandy Township solicitor with respect to the status of the current litigation between the parties.
January 24th, 6 p.m. here in City Council. That's a Wednesday.
So Wednesday.
Public hearing?
It's a public meeting.
Public meeting.
Yep,
You said it's a Wednesday?
it is a Wednesday.
I'll make a motion that we schedule a meeting on January 24th at 6 p.m. in this room to discuss consolidation in Sandy Township.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any questions on the motion?
Yes, the agenda for that, is that something that can be published? Who's going to do that?
It will definitely be published ahead of time. Sean and I will draft up an agenda for you.
Send it out.
We'll send it to the 5 council members, 5 supervisors, and it will be advertised on their media and ours.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Augenbaum,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Gelfen,
Yes.
Dietz,
Yes.
Reesinger.
Yes. Neighborhood fund. This is,
Why don't you take care of that?
this is kind of a new fund we're starting. It's for the beautification of the city. We had a donation of $600 to put in there, but we also are getting a grant or a donation from Domtar Paper Company, $5,000. They specifically want their money to be used for trees. Okay, so it's just a new fund. They cut down a bunch of trees, they're gonna plant some. No, they plant 2 trees for every tree they cut down right now. That's just the business. And if anybody else would like to donate, like I said, it's for the beautification of the city, okay? Any questions you can ask at the end here.
I have a question.
Actually, you can ask now because it's public comment.
I know we spoke earlier about this neighborhood, and I think it's a great idea. But, it came to our office to sign for the checks. Who's gonna oversee these donations? And should we be taking money from private entities? Like, I have a lot of questions with that because it's going to be in our office, so when the donations come in, and who's gonna decide on where the trees are gonna go and take care of them? There's just a lot of questions with it. I think it's a great idea. It's through our city, so that means my name's on the checks, Mr. Wilson's name's on the checks, Chris, and of course Tom. So I just had some questions because I was a little hesitant about it. So I just want to know how it's going to be. Who's taking care of this? Who's going to see when somebody sends a check in for $500 and it goes to the neighborhood fund? Like I just don't know how it works.
How do you handle it for dog aids? Don't people make private donations?
Don't do that part.
Who does?
Yeah, same thing. We take it in.
But I don't take it in.
Correct. Daily takes it in. So if it's a designated fund, I will manage that fund and make sure that if Domtar gives us this $5,000 designated for trees, that we get some paperwork on how it's gonna be administered.
Okay. I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware how it works, because I don't see those checks. I don't see that. It's all done up in the account. So I just wanted to make sure it was clear and everybody understood how it worked. And then once the trees are, who decides on who gets the trees, the upkeep on them, like who's gonna take care of the roof and sidewalks and everything.
I've been working with Scott from Penn State Extension, and he pretty much decides what tree, well, he gives us a choice of trees, what tree can go where and where it can go based on the soil and the location and power lines and utilities and things.
Okay.
So we're gonna be, actually, we're meeting tomorrow, him and I are going out, and we're gonna be doing Main Street. And there's only so many places on Main Street that you're able to plant a tree. It has to be so far away from a road, a telephone pole, a driveway. It's very limited to where we're supposed to put trees. So those is where we put trees.
Okay, so Chris you'll communicate with me.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel better now. Is it still public comment?
Yeah.
I have another public comment there. I know now that you're a mayor, congratulations to Jen and Elliot. I'm looking forward to working with you guys. A couple of things. I was a little concerned about you being our printer for our taxes, or your company. I'm assuming, I shouldn't assume, the county bids out those to print our taxes.
I'm glad you asked that.
So because I actually talked to the commissioners today, and I wanted to know, to make sure, because we're all being transparent, like how these are our taxes, because I don't want something to happen. That's my responsibility to the people. You do a great job printing them, but I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a conflict of interest, and your company does a great job doing it. I don't know how, the county said that we've been doing it for years. And
10 to 15 years.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make sure that was all, for you to address that.
I'm glad you asked that. Actually, the commissioners asked their solicitor, and it is not a conflict of interest.
Yeah, they told me that.
Yeah.
But then they said that we have to talk to the city council about it. It should be, the city council should, it's up to the city council's law. I don't know what that meant, but it's up to all of you how that works for our rules and our laws and how we're set up. I know nothing about that.
Are you talking, are you saying he prints the city's taxes or the
No,
county?
Tom, I print the taxes for the county.
For the county?
The real estate taxes, the school taxes, the city tax, the county tax. I print them for the county, and I have been doing for years. And she's asking if that's I know it's not a conflict with the county. Is that a conflict with the city? The city does not pay for those taxes. They do indirectly.
We write a check, I think it was like $1,000.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about that, but we thought that the city and the county should split the difference, because but the city's been paying for that.
That's between you and the county.
I'm
I
pretty
don't
sure.
have anything to do with,
Yeah.
I don't have anything to do with how the municipalities get billed.
Mm-hmm.
I just bill the county.
You also do it for other counties.
For other
You're all
counties,
over.
yes.
And I asked if the county bid that out. Did they bid out the printing? And
I give them a price every year.
yeah.
That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I don't know how that works. I just wanted to make sure it was all clear, because now he's our mayor, and they're on the
There's a
council.
city
so-
council member before that.
Yeah, but that was,
You're correct. I need to see the contract. I'm assuming when you say you do the printing, your company that you own does it.
Yes.
I need to see a copy of the contract.
There's no contract.
no.
Okay. What's the relationship between the city and the county as far as financially arrangement?
From what I understand is we print the taxes, we send the county a bill, and then they do send an invoice or a bill to the municipalities. I am not involved in that part of it.
I don't know. I just.
I think they try to read.
I need to know that. We'll
See
take
if
a
I can
look
get
at
that
it,
paperwork for you.
and I'll be happy to give you a legal opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Pat. I appreciate it, because I was just so concerned, and I know a lot of people have asked me about it. So, just wanted to let you know.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, one thing real quick. I noticed the January 2nd meeting minutes weren't on here, that I'm assuming they're gonna be on.
We'll be on the next one.
Okay, thank you.
Comment? I just wanted to question the 24th, 6 PM, that proposed meeting of consolidation. If the last couple, this meeting and the township meeting are any indication, you might want a location that seats more people. Unless you feel there'll be a lightly attended, right? I think it might be heavily attended. And if so, advertise where it's gonna be so people know.
We'll discuss that.
We can discuss that with
Yeah,
City Township.
We'll discuss that with the same.
If we choose another location, we will definitely have it advertised.
Thank you.
Chris, just to let you know, when we're doing things with the water and sewer, we work with the school district, and we had in the auditorium at the middle school where we had meetings held. So, I mean,
And you needed them.
I'm sure that, I'm sure the school district would work with you.
That would be nice. Yeah. Other comments? Yes.
I live on 507 East DuBois Avenue. All of a sudden.
Sorry, what's your name? Where do you live?
Oh, Mary Boyle.
Thank you.
Sorry. 507 East DuBois Avenue.
Thank you.
For this past year, all I have is water in the backyard and back along the side of my house. I had somebody come out and they said, oh, it's only runoff. Well, it wasn't there before. What the heck happened? Did it suddenly just, I don't know what happened. In 40 years, I've never had soup in the backyard and soup on the side of the house. I'm worried about my basement. I have to take care of my house myself, so what do I do? Who do I go see?
So she has called us, and we have gone out and checked, cannot find any stormwater runoff from our system, anything from our sanitary sewer or public water system.
But what happened? It wasn't there before.
I don't know why there is now water there. We cannot find a source of the water.
Well,
Is it surface water or,
I don't know.
Okay.
no, that does me in.
Have you been out?
Thanks for your help.
We'll continue to try and figure out the problem, but
Yeah,
I
I'm
can't
sure.
find the source.
Ron Trasna, DuBois, Pennsylvania. I'm glad we talked about trees here. I gave Chris a call the other day. I know in 2019, we did a selective cut around the water filtration plant. But right now, it seems like we've made a decision to do a clear cut of trees around the whole entire filtration plant. I mean, they've cleaned everything off. I mean, I kind of question, was the forester involved in this decision to clear cut?
Absolutely, yes,
He was?
absolutely.
Did we put bids out for proposals for the clear cutting? Because usually companies that do select cut, they say you really don't come back in for about 15 years before you do any other cutting. And we're talking 5 years and we're doing a clear cut on everything out there. I mean, when the plant was built, it was built up on the knoll. And the trees and everything else was a protection to the backwash tank and also the generator, the forest and the buffer zone and everything. And I know leaves come off those and get into the media and everything up there, the fluctuators, clarifiers, 2 or 3 days. Now we're using every day. But the reason I'm asking this is when back in about 2004, we had divers come in for up at the tank up at the Tower Lane and also Highland Street, because we were concerned about ice building up in those things. And those divers went in there and said, yes, it is, and it's causing damage to the inside of those things. And I know the backwash tank, there's no heating or anything associated with that to heat it up. I know the water coming up from the reservoir would probably be maybe 45 degrees or so. So it's not gonna be froze, but I'm really concerned at the fact that here we cut everything down for no protection at all. And that was one of the main reasons why they built that plant where they did.
Most of those trees around the tank were cut in 2019. It was the back half that we cut this time.
Because there's a big gap, and I mean, you have big dirt piles up there near those clarifiers and everything else that's very concerned about. And you know, I'd hate to have something happen to that backwash tank, because if something happens to it, you know, and you couldn't clean the filters and that, you'd have a boil water situation within 2 weeks. So I mean, even when we fixed it at that time, we kind of went offline for, and it was fixed in basically 1 day, because there was a bullet piercing hole up on the top of the thing. That was kind of like, I was very concerned when you said we're talking about a shooting range out there. Holy hell, I mean, it didn't pierce the tank, but it was a nice indentation, and that is things to be worried about. That you might not think a whole lot about a backwash tank, but that is a very important process in the whole DuBois filtration process. Did we put a new bid out for when we clear cut it?
It was added on to it was an addendum to the Brownlee lumber.
So we didn't give anyone else a chance to do it?
What's that?
We didn't give anyone else a chance to?
It was, that bit of work was 50,000, I think, added on to the 400-some thousand.
And where's that money going? The money coming in from that, what fund is that going into? Huh?
General fund.
General fund, even though it's the water filtration plant and land.
All of our money comes into the
I know, but, well, you're trying to get to the point where you're having different funds this coming
Correct.
year, so I'm saying right now.
We don't budget for individual cuts.
Okay. Just wanted to let you know, I was very concerned when I seen that out there, and I've had many people call me about it, so. And I know you received a call from a person out there that.
Was that money used to help balance the budget,
For 2023, yes, it was.
the timbering?
Thanks, Ron.
Okay, thank you.
How much money are we talking about? For the
For
timbering? How much did we
the-
get from the timbering?
From the timbering, 450,000. The original contract was 400, I think around 400,000. And the additional trees amount to about 50,000.
It's shocking to drive out there.
Sean Wesky. When we went through number 7 about the financial institutions, I think we opened up a big can of worms as to the behavior of S&T Bank and perhaps other banks. Can you tell us exactly what it is that they're denying that you feel that you should have access to? And as a result of this, are we gonna rethink our future relationships with that institution and any others that follow that particular mold?
We sent a letter out a few months ago asking for financial information from, we contacted all the local banks, and S&T did request that we reply with subpoena.
What is it that they're denying you? Can you
All
not
I
see
know.
your
That
balance?
is
Can you
that-
not make withdrawals?
You asked for all the accounts that,
All accounting information.
that had
from-
the city's EIN number.
Yep,
And they just flat out told you no.
correct.
So if you wanted to take money out of that bank tomorrow, you could or couldn't?
We can't out of our accounts we know of.
That's a fair answer. So, as far as the potential for the remaining accounts, the city has a 9-digit tax ID number like anybody else. Has there been any kind of, for lack of the equivalent of a credit report done on the city to be able to pull back and see what other accounts the city might have that they may or may not know about? Is there
That's what
something
we're
like that
attempting
done
to
in
do right now.
Bradstreet, perhaps? Anything, has our controller pulled out from Dun and Bradstreet or any of the other institutions that do the reporting on that EIN number?
I have.
Or the tax ID number, I'm sorry.
That's the information we're trying to gather right
Yeah.
now.
That's daily.
And they're pulling up and saying no.
Do you have a comment?
Well, I think it's part of what I'm being tasked to look into. So we'll certainly do that.
They didn't offer any reasoning, is it
I
ongoing?
wasn't involved in the
did
process
not.
at that time. My understanding is that they simply requested that the city provide them with a subpoena.
So somebody that's a signer on this bank walks in, just like you're anybody that has a bank account off the street, you go in and you ask for this information, and they just say, S&T Bank.
I can't argue with you, I'm telling you.
Okay,
let them set the
I mean, it
response
sounds
to
pretty shocking. I think anybody here, if that happened to them when they walked into their bank, would have a problem, so.
I mean, that's what we're trying to, that's what we're trying to
Very
do.
good. Well, that's what I put together, and I
You believe there's accounts.
something to think about.
Yes.
I have no idea.
Raise a breakfast. Yeah.
Other public comments? Yes.
Hi, Kristen Vita, DuBois. Regarding the conflicts of interest, Tom, if you could give an opinion, I know that at least one former council member served on planning commission, and I believe, Dave, you still are on planning. Pat, you're on redevelopment
That's correct.
authority. I guess, out with the old and with the new. I know there's a lot of people in this community that want to serve, and we've had a lot of members, I guess, of these other committees that have been on for 20, 30 years. And I just think that now with this new council, maybe we can have, new faces and new ideas, within these commissions, committees, and the zoning hearing board. I think it's called something else now, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but if you could provide an opinion on that. Thank you.
If asked by council, I'm more than happy to provide the legal opinion with respect to any potential conflicts between serving on city council and any of the other city entities, whether it be the planning commission or the zoning board or things of that nature. Happy to provide those. With respect to the power of council and or the mayor to appoint and reappoint, all of those positions become with fixed terms, and they're either reappointed at the discretion of the mayor and or in certain circumstances at the recommendation of the mayor and approval of city council. So I'm happy to review with the mayor and council.
And you were gonna do that with me in the redevelopment.
Correct.
We're doing that.
And at that point, then, even anyone else that does business with the city, that there's no other elected official conflict going forward.
Absolutely. And when asked, and obviously if I see something I'm learning, it kind of as I get familiar with with everybody in the operations. If I see something that I think there's an issue, I will talk with council privately and ask if you want an opinion with respect to that. But obviously, if there's any questions, I'm more than happy to provide. And as I told council and the mayor, I'll provide you a written opinion on any of these issues. So it may be helpful, and Chris has been terrific in providing information. It may be helpful to get a current list of appointed positions within the city, including existing terms of those individuals. And then we can take a look and see if there's any potential questions with respect to whether there's two incompatible positions. I'll be happy to provide a legal opinion.
I'd like to recommend that you come up with a plan that when somebody's interested in sitting on the zoning planning, that they come in and do an application. Because I have people that come to me all the time and say, hey, I'd like to get involved. I'd like to, and I just take their name and number and put them somewhere, you know. I mean,
Who do you give the number to?
I used to give it to our manager or our Chris or whoever. It depends what it is. Never for that. But I'm just saying, no. No, I usually write there's a pothole.
Yeah, for him.
For
That's
him.
what Chris gets.
That's what Chris gets all the potholes. But I'm saying, like, if there was a procedure set up for people in our community that want to get involved, we want you to get involved. There used to be no one.
Well, you know, I speak to it because I have expressed interest over the years. And I know there have been people that live in Sandy Township who have served on the planning commission. And,
DuBois planning commission?
yes, yes. And I was years and years ago until Miss Cherry and I had a spat over a conflict of interest with her in a country club, and I had questioned she should not be advising as an investor and be on council at the same time. So those were my days of the planning commission, and I was not reappointed and kind of banned from the kingdom. So I'm just bringing that up, that there are people that want to serve, but are, you know, because of their questions or whatever, they were not permitted to.
I'd like to, with that, there's a lot of talented people and everybody has something they think they can give. Everybody in here. You know, whether they work for PennDOT, they know the laws of where the sign sits back, or I think, Chris, you're great at working with everybody, so that's just my recommendation. If you can come up with something that people could put an application in, maybe, something that more people that want to get involved with us, that, you know, we know they're interested in as a procedure.
There's been some of the committees have been long dormant, and we're looking into bringing those back and getting them back to being functioning, especially zoning, parking, parks and rec, things like that, where we want input from the community, and we want people that want to be involved to give us input and help us make decisions and move the city forward. So we're considering all those options.
Zoning. The problem with zoning is if somebody wants to change something, it becomes very expensive for the people who are destined on it. Definitely makes it harder for people that want to expand. More costly.
I know Mr. Breath is going to, he stated that he would look into the legal position, but can anybody address what is the current policy for elected officials' health care as far as council members? What policy is in place right now?
It was never never discussed at a public meeting. There was never a motion to it. It started in 2014, 2015?
January 1, 2015.
January 1, 2015. Not really sure how.
Yep.
What?
There's no written policy.
There's no written policy. It was just given to elected officials.
Certain elected officials.
Certain elected
Yeah,
officials.
Mayor, I would say certain elected officials, and I've talked to Shannon Gabriel, who's a former city councilwoman. Talked to her tonight, as a matter of fact. She said, Michael, I was never offered health insurance. So, to your point, we don't have a policy.
No, and it's not part of, like, if you're gonna run for office, it says how much you get paid, it says how much your benefits are, you know, what your benefits are, that compensation packet. That was never part of the election materials.
So it just happened.
It just happened.
Just to clarify, myself, Pat, and Elliot, none of us have healthcare.
No, we have elected not to take the health care.
So 3 members right now do not.
Correct.
And 2 do.
2 do.
And other elected officials do as well.
Yes.
I do, as the treasurer.
Sure.
I do not.
Because you're DuBois. Yeah.
I do not have healthcare. Never had it.
Yeah, well, that's okay. I was just curious because I've heard a lot of electeds have it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Debbie Mecklen, again. At the January 2nd meeting, council voted to terminate the former city manager who had been on administrative leave since
That's not-
March of 20.
That's not exactly what happened. I know it's kind of been misquoted in the press. We've authorized this city solicitor to take steps to move that forward, but we didn't,
Okay.
that hasn't been done yet.
Yes,
It hasn't been
To
done
move
yet.
forward with termination.
yes. The
Will-
procedure,
There's a procedure.
yes.
Okay, and will we hear what, is decided about his pension when the time comes?
Absolutely.
Okay. That was my
Yeah,
question.
it's a
What-
procedure, the Loudermill process, correct, Tom?
There's two different procedures. With respect to his employment, there's a procedure that's within, the city's codes that we're working through, and I'll advise the council tonight on the legal procedure. And actually share with them the legal opinion that was provided by outside counsel, months ago. With respect to his pension, it's a different issue.
I was just wondering what the impact would be financially on the city with all of that.
That's really contingent upon the criminal charges like that.
Okay, thank you.
And no, Debbie, that, I know, I speak for myself, Pat and Elliot, we are diligent about the funds of the city and where they are going and what they're being spent on going forward.
I didn't have any question about that.
Yes. Other questions? Motion to adjourn?
You have one more item under executive session.
Now we'll go to executive session.
Page 2. We will be going into executive session for legal and personal issues.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded.